It might sound crazy to think you can make $1 million online, especially if you're broke, but trust me, it's possible if you keep an open mind and stay positive. I've done it, and in this episode, I'm going to show you how. I'm super excited to share my secrets with you today in this solo round. Before we dive into the journey of making your first million, let me hit you with a quote from Abraham Lincoln. Good things come to those who wait, but only what's left by those who hustle. All right, let's keep it real. Making $1 million online might sound like a total stretch, especially if you're starting with nothing. But listen, if you're open to the possibilities and keep a positive mindset, it's absolutely within reach. I've been there, broke and frustrated, but I made it happen, and I'm here to help you do the same. In today's episode, I'm beyond excited to share exactly how I did it. You're going to want to stick around for this solo round because this could be the game changer you've been waiting for. Before we dive in, though, I want to leave you with a powerful quote from Abraham Lincoln. Good things come to those who wait, but only what's left behind by those who hustle. So, if you're ready to stop waiting and start hustling, let's get into it. Let's get real. If you want to hit those big financial goals, you've got to start by locking in on what you really want. First, figure out your financial target. I'm talking about diving deep into the numbers. Know exactly what's coming in, what's going out, and how much you're saving. You might already see areas where you can make your money work harder for you. Next, set realistic goals, both short-term and long-term. Break it down step by step based on your current income, expenses, and the timeline you're shooting for. Having a clear, specific goal isn't just a nice idea. It's the fuel that'll keep you moving forward. Then, it's time to get serious with a detailed budget. Track everything: income, expenses, and where you can cut out the waste. Start shifting that extra cash towards savings and investments. This isn't just about cutting costs, it's about building wealth. Your budget is the roadmap to your first million. Now, here's the kicker. Success doesn't happen by accident. It's driven by passion. When you're fired up about what you want, you can achieve anything. You've got the power to build the life you've always dreamed of. So, set your goals, stoke that passion, and start today. Your journey to that million begins with the first step. I've always had a deep love for sports, so naturally I started brainstorming a business idea that revolved around that passion. At the time, I had no clue how to turn my love for sports into a way to make money, but I knew one thing: I had to start. The first step was just taking action. A lot of people get stuck at the starting line. They want everything to be perfect. Perfect plans, perfect strategies, perfect business models. They obsess over every little detail on their to-do list, waiting for that perfect moment to begin. But here's the truth. Perfection is the enemy of progress. I've seen so many people get caught in this trap, and they end up never making a single dollar because they're too scared to take that messy first step. I was the opposite. My plan wasn't perfect, far from it, but I knew I had to take action. I had to try, even if I failed. And that's the key. Progress beats perfection every single time. You don't have to have everything figured out to move forward. You just need to start. Remember, getting things done, even imperfectly, is better than sitting on the sidelines, waiting for perfection that never comes. I learned this lesson the hard way, through months of wasted time and money. I spent months building a website because I got caught up in all the little details that barely moved the needle. I obsessed over getting the perfect domain name, the right graphics, the best content theme, even down to designing the perfect logo. I thought if I got all these things just right, success would follow. But you know what? None of that mattered. I was so wrapped up in the small stuff, I lost sight of the big picture. What I should have been doing was focusing on what really counts, bringing value to my audience. Instead of worrying about the perfect website design, I should have been asking myself, how can I help people? How can I solve their problems? Looking back, I realize I was hiding behind perfectionism because I was scared. Scared that if I launched something imperfect, it wouldn't work, or worse, I'd fail. But here's the truth: progress over perfection. You've got to focus on what brings value, not the shiny details that don't really matter in the end. That realization changed everything for me. It was a tough lesson, but it's one I'll never forget. A mentor once gave me some simple advice. Check out Facebook for opportunities. At first, I wasn't sure what to expect, but it turned out to be a goldmine. It became the perfect platform for me to connect with people who shared my passion for sports and, more importantly, to add real value to their lives. I took the leap and created a sports network where I started building relationships with industry executives and experts. These weren't just connections, they were people I could learn from. And let me tell you, the lessons I picked up from these pros were priceless. I also started interviewing well-known sports figures and posting these interviews on my website. And here's the key part. I promoted them for free by sharing them on Facebook and other platforms. By doing this, I wasn't just building my audience, I was offering something valuable to the mentors I admired. I helped them for free while soaking up every bit of knowledge I could. At the same time, I was giving my readers something they couldn't find anywhere else. Stories of success and inspiration from people who had made it in the sports world. It was a win-win. I was learning, growing, and giving back all at once. And that, right there, was how I began to truly make an impact. From there, I took things a step further. I started organizing and running events and workshops right on Facebook. I'd charge a small fee for people to attend, just enough to cover food and my personal essentials. And guess what? I was bringing in a few $1,000s every month from these events, talking about topics I was genuinely passionate about. But here's the thing. I wouldn't have gotten to that point if I'd been stuck on making everything perfect. I learned that the real key is to just start, even if it's messy. It doesn't have to be flawless. Find something you care about, take that leap, and refine your process along the way. Action beats perfection every time. One of the biggest game changers in my journey was finding a mentor and investing in myself. Honestly, there's no greater investment you can make than in your own growth, and having a mentor can speed up that process like nothing else. Looking back, I can only imagine how different things would have been if I didn't have someone to push me to explore Facebook as a platform. Without that nudge, I probably would have spent years figuring out that Facebook was the perfect place to kickstart my business. A good mentor doesn't just guide you, they open doors you didn't even know existed. So, find a role model and really learn from them. Dive deep into their stories, look for those key moments that shaped their path, and take those lessons to heart. But here's the important part. Apply those lessons to your life, your unique journey. Investing in yourself is the most powerful thing you can do. It's not just about learning, it's about acting on what you've learned. Whether that means taking a course, joining a webinar, buying the right tools, or even finding a coach who can push you beyond your limits. I've traveled to places I never thought I'd go, even across the world, just to sit in a room and learn from people who inspired me. And one of the best investments I made? Spending $100 to join Toastmasters. Why? Because public speaking terrified me. I used to be nervous speaking in front of 5 people. Imagine how I felt thinking about talking to a crowd of 1,000. But I did it anyway because I knew if I didn't face that fear, I'd never grow. That $100 wasn't just a membership fee. It was the price of overcoming a fear that had held me back for years. It was a step toward becoming the person I needed to be to reach my goals. And looking back, it paid off in ways I couldn't have dreamed of. In the end, I made a choice to invest in myself, to push through my fears and face them head on. But what about you? What's the fear that's holding you back? Have you done anything to overcome it yet? Maybe it's time to ask yourself some tough questions. Maybe you need a mentor to guide you through it, or maybe it's time to invest in a course that helps you break through that anxiety. And if you're unsure where to start, don't worry, you're not alone. Sometimes the first step is simply reaching out. Platforms like Facebook are powerful tools to connect with mentors and people in your field who've been where you are. Trust me, I know how hard it can be to take that first leap, but once you do, the path forward becomes so much clearer. So, what's stopping you? Take that first step today. Let me share a bit about how I learned to be smart with debt on my own journey to making my first million. Early on, I realized that debt is almost unavoidable, but it doesn't have to hold you back. In fact, using it wisely can propel you forward. For me, good debt was a tool, like when I invested in courses and coaching to sharpen my skills. Sure, I had to pay for it over time, but it was an investment in my future, much like buying stocks. It helped me grow, not just financially, but personally too. But I also learned the hard way that not all debt is helpful. There were times when I let my credit card balances creep up, buying things I didn't really need, and man, those interest rates can crush you if you're not careful. I had to face it head on and come up with a plan. I used the snowball method to pay off one debt at a time, starting with the smallest, and it gave me momentum. That feeling of clearing one debt and moving on to the next, it's powerful. At one point, I even transferred my balances to a 0% interest card. That gave me the breathing room I needed to pay off the debt without interest piling up. But let me tell you, you've got to stay on top of that. I made sure to pay it off before the 0% period ended, and it saved me from falling back into the trap of high interest. Now, should you wait until your debt is totally gone before you start investing? Not at all. If I had waited, I never would have gotten started. Time is your greatest asset when it comes to investing. Even while I was paying off student loans, I began putting small amounts into the market because the returns I was getting were higher than the interest on my loans. It was about balancing smart financial moves with the long game in mind. So, my advice: don't let debt scare you into inaction. Use it wisely, tackle it with a plan, and make sure you're still investing in your future. That's how I kept moving forward on my path to my first million, and it's how you can too. If I could go back and start over, the very first thing I'd focus on is building a list of potential clients and followers. When I first started, I made the mistake of building a website right away because it seemed like the thing everyone else was doing at the time. I thought having a site was the key, but I quickly realized I had my priorities wrong. A website is great, but only if you use it as a tool to build something bigger, like a list of people genuinely interested in what you have to offer. That list? It's everything. It's your direct line to your audience, the people who will buy your products, join your paid events, and engage with you. It's where your traffic comes from. It's your source of potential customers. And without it, honestly, you've got no business. You might have a website, but without an audience, without distribution, without a list, you've got no money. So, if you're just starting, my advice is this: start building that list. You can do it through email signups, newsletters, or offering freebies like ebooks, guides, webinars, or even free coaching sessions. That's what worked for me. I took the time to build up my list, and it became a continuous source of leads for my events and products. One thing that made a huge difference for me was guest posting on high-profile sports blogs. Getting exposure on these popular sites helped me grow a list of highly qualified leads who were interested in attending my events. It wasn't overnight, but it was worth every moment. That list became the foundation of everything I built afterward. So, take the time to build your audience first. It's one of the most valuable assets you'll ever create. One of the biggest lessons I learned on my path to that first million was this: sales are everything in business, and marketing is what brings the right people to your sales team. You can have the best product or service in the world, but if you can't sell it, your business won't survive. That's why understanding sales and marketing is crucial. It's an ongoing journey, especially in today's fast-paced business world. You don't have to be a big shot or an industry expert to compete with the giants. What you need is the willingness to learn, to adapt, and to master the tricks of the trade. You need a strategy that works for you, a way to sell that doesn't feel like selling. And here's the thing: that comes through continuous learning, through research, and through trial and error. For me, finding mentors, attending workshops, and investing in sales training made all the difference. I wasn't born a natural salesperson, and honestly, the idea of selling used to make me uncomfortable. But I quickly realized that it wasn't about pushing products. It was about offering value and building relationships. Once I got that, everything changed. So, if you want to thrive, start diving into sales and marketing. There's always something new to learn, and it's what will keep your business growing. And trust me, when you figure out how to sell in a way that feels authentic to you, it's a game changer. One of the most powerful lessons I've learned on my journey to earning my first million is the importance of building trust. Trust isn't just something nice to have. It's what adds real value to your business. It's what brings customers back, keeps them loyal, and turns them into lifelong supporters. If you want to build a business that brings in your first million, you need to invest in building credibility, and that doesn't happen overnight. It's a long-term commitment to being reliable, transparent, and consistent in everything you do. Building credibility is about creating a bond that goes beyond just one sale. When people trust your brand, they stick around, and that loyalty is what gives you a steady stream of income, even in a highly competitive market. Trust isn't just about transactions, it's about relationships. And those relationships, once built, can carry your business to incredible heights. For me, one of the key ways I built credibility was through hosting webinars. It allowed me to connect directly with my target audience, not just to sell, but to genuinely offer value and build a relationship with them. I also wrote guest posts and even published books, which helped establish my reputation among readers. So, when I hosted webinars or offered new events, I didn't have to sell hard. People trusted me enough to join in because they already knew I would deliver value. That's the beauty of building credibility. It opens doors, keeps people engaged, and makes it easier to grow your business without needing to push. And in the end, it's what will help you build a business that lasts. Hustle. And then hustle even harder. Let me tell you, no one is going to hand you $1 million. You have to put in the work. You have to show up day after day with grit and determination. For me, it took years, working 14-hour days, pushing through exhaustion to finally hit that 7-figure mark with my business partner. It wasn't easy and it wasn't fast, but that's what it takes. Now, I'm in a place where I can leverage my time and money to create even bigger things and live a life I only dreamed of back then. But I wouldn't be here if I hadn't given everything I had, every single day, to the hustle. So, if you're on this journey to your first million, know this. It's going to take relentless hustle. And then some. You have to push yourself harder than ever before. But there's a secret to it. It's only possible if you're truly passionate about what you're doing. Passion fuels the hustle. Without it, the grind will wear you down. And here's something else I've learned along the way. After all that hustling, you must take time to recharge. Rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity. You can't give 100% every day if you're running on empty. So work hard, but make sure you take care of yourself too. That balance is what will keep you going until you reach that first million and beyond. So there it is, guys. My secret formula for success and the story of how I earned my first $1 million online, even when I was flat broke, crashing on my sister's couch. But today, I want to challenge you to start chasing your own passion. Don't get stuck in the trap of trying to craft the perfect plan. Instead, take messy, imperfect action and make that first leap. Are you ready to step up and take action? Are you ready to love yourself enough to believe that you can have it all? Because let me tell you, you can. Every dream, every goal, it's all possible. But it starts with that one leap of faith. I hope this solo episode fired you up and inspired you to go after your dreams. Let me know what part of this episode resonated with you the most. And remember, don't forget to do something amazing every single day.